afternoon, everyone. Again, it's May 4th, 2022, and this is a continuation from before and after the pandemic. I want to talk to you specifically about the parking lot that I'm talking about. And this parking lot was right beside the Salvation Army, and it was a huge parking lot. And a lot of the people from the Salvation Army, from the other shelters, they'd hang out in this parking lot. And there was trees on one side of it, so it was nice and shady in the summer. But this was a very dangerous place, and most people knew it, because this is where the drug dealing was taking place constantly. They were just hanging out, they were doing whatever they wanted, and they literally thought that they owned this parking lot. For example, the parking lot was a shortcut between the two streets, and I was waiting for my friends, my older dog, her older brother, and my dog's older brother, to come across the parking lot. And we used to meet up there, and sometimes we try to use a corner section of the parking lot to run the dogs during the pandemic and that, because it was very difficult to get around. And we didn't want to be wandering the streets too far with the dogs either. But you get into this parking lot, and even during the summertime, these three people, tried to chase us out of the parking lot and said we didn't belong in the parking lot. And then they even had to hire security guards for the parking lot to make sure that the cars were okay. But the guards didn't have a problem with us, because we were just taking up a little corner when it was empty so that we could let the dogs play. So to try and give them a safe place to play. But even then, we still had to watch for the needles and paraphernalia that was there. And but I do remember one incident. I remember waiting on the one side of the parking lot for her to come through the parking lot to meet me on the other street, rather than have to walk all the way around. And this particular day, I remember a gentleman sitting there, and some other guy coming up, yelling and screaming at him, demanding that he pay him his money. And he said, I don't have it. Yes, you do. Give me my money. And so there was a big argument over money. And it ended up that the gentleman who was asking for the money grabbed something out of the guy's hand and took off with it. And the guy was screaming at him, give it back to me. So, but this parking lot beside the Sally Ann was where the police were constantly showing up. So you had an area where everyone from all the three shelters in the area here were converging. So it was a great meeting place where they could spend hours in this parking lot. As in the fall, what happened in the fall of 2021, the parking lot was shut down. With the shutdown of the parking lot, this is when we start noticing the extra pills on the streets, the extra needles on the streets. Even the poor needle hunters couldn't even keep up with the number of needles coming in, because it was through the day. Like, I go by a parking meter and I see 4 needles behind the parking meter, and I knew that the needle hunters had done the sweep first thing in the morning. They probably weren't there then. But it was during the day. I was seeing needles squashed on the street or on the sidewalk. They just seem to be all over the place since they knocked out the parking lot. So it just goes to show that the parking lot was, I believe, because it was centralized between everything. I think this is where the drug dealers, and this is what we all assume, being tenants down here and living in the area, that we're a little bit safer because at least they were over there. And the police were just constantly, like they're doing now with the Shepherds, going constantly over to the Sally Ann. Now they still are, because I've seen them quite a few times. They still have to service the Sally Ann as well as the Shepherds, because the clients go from one shelter to the other and cause trouble. And then my dog's older brother was living in an apartment building right by there, and this is where she was getting bothered. She tried to move a little further away, which she did, and she still got bothered with the dog as well. So these guys who are on the drugs, they don't care what kind of dog it is, they'll still go after them. So this is one of the biggest problems that we're having. We have, like I said, people are being bothered, and again, the other place that I could see was when McDonald's was up and running. You could see the drug dealers hanging around or coming in, doing their exchange sometimes with somebody who was sleeping on one of the tables at McDonald's. So it was a really, really big problem And I can understand why McDonald's had to leave, but it was one of the greatest businesses that we had down here because everybody loved to eat at McDonald's. But I remember a fight breaking out outside, and these people were coming in and they were visiting from Toronto. And they just looked and said, "Is this really what Ottawa's like? And, we expect this to see this in Toronto, not Ottawa." So I just looked at them and said, "Oh my, are we going that way too?" I'm not familiar with Toronto. I don't live in Toronto, so I don't know just how bad it is down there. But she says, "Oh my gosh, I feel like I'm living back in Toronto, not Ottawa." And this is some of the comments that are coming in even from the tourists and people coming in from out of town. They feel very, very unsafe. Like, what city are we really in? And this is certainly not the city I grew up in. We were pretty safe to be able to go about our streets and about our businesses and not have to worry. So I just wanted to explain a little about the parking lot as well, because it was a very key factor in this. And what they have done is, I believe, because now they don't have that centralized parking lot anymore, they're spreading out throughout the community when they lost it. And then, of course, last year they started slowly trying to figure this out. Now they're all over. And I think this is why we're having more outbreaks. And so now they really have to show up more at the Shoppers with the dealers, from what I'm getting. And they have to go to the clients in a different way. So it really changed the makeup of this area of where they were actually dealing and doing all the horrible stuff. And of course, as residents, we were able to at least avoid the parking lot if we wished to. But since this has been knocked out, it just seems to have spread all over. Now the police are responding more, I believe, to the Sally Ann, certainly to the Shepherds. Now it's 454. This is spreading. It's almost like a disease. And we really need to stop this somehow. So again, I appreciate my new people talking to you, and I hope again you have a nice day and you are again safe, and take care, and bye-bye. Thank you, Christine.